Welcome back to another exciting week of the Rutherford County real estate market. This is the week ending September 29th, 2025. First of all, let me thank all y'all who came out today. We had a big client event out at Lucky Lad Farm. I had hundreds of you show up, and appreciate y'all being out there. It was a wonderful time getting to spend the afternoon with you. Got a little hotter than we thought it would be. But just a wonderful time seeing kids and grandkids out there just playing with the animals, going down the slides. I hope you enjoyed it. I know we did. So, hey, I'm John Turner. I'm the team lead of the Turner Victory team at Onward Real Estate. And every week we bring you this information. Just want to update you about not only the Rutherford County real estate market, but we have some interesting information. As a matter of fact, whenever we start looking on the national level, about who actually owns all the rental properties. I think there's some very interesting information there. Also, we're going to look at mortgage rates. We've heard a lot about rates over the past week or so. We know the Fed met. So stick around. We'll look at all that as well. But first of all, let's go ahead and jump into our numbers here for this week. So this is the week ending September 29th. Right now we have 1,572 available homes on the market. That is down from last week and puts us about in that range. We've been hovering on either side of 1,550 available homes. We did see last week jump a little bit above 1,600, but we're back down now. So we'll certainly watch that trend. We had 108 new listings this week. 114 pending home sales, so we actually pended 6 more homes than we brought on the market. There were 81 closings this week, 108 expired and canceled, and in the entire county we sold just shy of 1,400 homes over the past 3 months. So this gives us a 3.38 month supply of inventory across the board. I always remind you that inventory levels, the definition of a balanced market is 6 month supply of inventory. So being at 3.38 month supply, we are in a seller's market still. It does not feel like it. I get it. I talk to sellers all the time. They do not feel like they have the leverage that they used to have. And quite frankly, they don't have the leverage they used to have. Buyers actually have a lot more choices and have some pretty good leverage in this market as well. It is not a depressed market. It's a good, healthy market. Sales are a little slow. We'll look at that here in a minute. So I think as a market, it would help us if sales picked up just a little bit. But as far as the ratio of homes on the market versus sales, I think we're in a healthy position right now. 7.25% of all homes that were on the market this week went under contract. We certainly saw a jump up here in the 800,000s where 11.5% of those homes went under contract. And also in the 500s, 10% of those went under contract. So very interesting trend right there because we're used to seeing those higher numbers in the lower price ranges. Let's go over here and look at our charts that we like to look at every week, our new listing chart. This time last year, we had 73 new listings. This week, we had 108, so that was up quite a bit. But it kind of offsets because we were down last week. So still seeing similar trends to what we saw last year at this time. Our pending chart, the past 3 weeks, actually the past 2 of the 3 weeks, we were down on our pendings. Last week, we were exactly even with the pendings from last year, 109. This week we're up to 114 compared to 108 this time last year. So not a huge difference, but it is slightly higher. And at this point, we will take anything that's higher. So we're still floating at the 3.38 month supply of inventory. You can see at one point we're down in the 3.2s here, but 3.3s and still fairly steady. Now, if you look, we have, since the middle of summer, we have seen a little bit of increase in the month supply. Nothing drastic, but if I were to put a line on here, you could see that does rise up a little bit. we do have nearly a month's more supply than what we had this time last year. This time last year we had 2.46 months supply. So supply was definitely a lot tighter last year. Let's start right here. I know I'm getting so much on here, it's hard to read, but as you can see, we've really kind of leveled out with our inventory. We did see the spike last week at 1606. We're at 1572 right now. We were 1593 the week before, then the 1550s. So for quite a while here, we've been somewhere around 1550 to 1600 available units. If this starts spiking up for some reason, we'll certainly be concerned about the number of homes we're getting on the market. But right now, it does seem to be leveling off quite a bit. If you look, this is just showing that 7.25% of all the homes on the market, as we said earlier, have gone under contract. This time last year, it was 9.08%. If you've noticed, back in here, we had a wide difference between this year and last year. It keeps closing, so we're actually getting a lot closer to what we were doing this time last year. Monthly closing charts, quarterly closings, and monthly closings we will actually get into next week. We should have enough information to be able to do that. And also September is the end of the third quarter, so we'll look at how we stack up for the third quarter as well. So you'll want to stick around for that next week. Let's talk a little bit about mortgage rates. We've heard a lot about rates, and I keep preaching that mortgage rates and interest rates are two different things. The Fed lowered the interest rate, okay? And mortgage rates went up, okay? No surprise there. It actually happens quite a bit. Mortgage rates had already factored in that drop, 2-3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago. But let's look where we are with the rates here. If we go over to the 30-year rate, this past week we went up a little bit. We went up to, and this is the average across the board. Remember, we use this just as a benchmark, okay? Your rate will be different more than likely than this rate. It's going to depend upon what type of loan you get, how much you put down, your credit score. There's a lot of factors there. But this is just a good benchmark to let us see across the nation what the average mortgage rate is doing. And this week we were at 6.3%. Now, this time last week we were at 5.26. So they only went up 0.04 or 0.04%, okay? But they did go up, and I guess people thought that they were going to go down. But let's go back here, just back to July 17th. So that's just a couple of months ago. Interest rates were at 6.75%. So now we're at 6.3. We're almost half a point less. See, the market started factoring in what the Fed was going to do. The market reacts to the bond market, not so much to what the Fed does. So don't let the headlines really throw you off. As a matter of fact, if we go back to May 29th, so right at the end of May, we were at 6.89%. So we're down nearly 0.6% on the mortgage rate from the end of May. So May, June, July, August, September. So in 4 months, we've gone down about 0.6%. Let's look at what's going on. I think this is always interesting to look at. In Rutherford County, 38% of the homes that are on the market had a price reduction. Okay, so 38%. That's actually low compared to some other areas in Tennessee. Up here, you got Cott County, that's 55%. Granger County, couldn't even tell you where that is, 55%. Jefferson County, 54%. So over half the homes that are in the market in those counties have price reductions. I do find it interesting, though, whenever I look at this chart, that this is still showing that many of our sellers are a little stubborn still. Whenever you start looking at how motivated they are, we are getting a lot closer to this motivated, and I don't know if you can see that, but once we get to this middle point right here, the market will be considered that we have sellers that are motivated. So we're getting there. I would say there are a lot of sellers that are motivated. It really depends on when they bought the house too, and how much how much wiggle room they have. If you bought a house in the past couple of years and you're a seller, you probably don't have a whole lot of wiggle room. If you bought it 4 or 5 or 6 years ago, you do have room to make something happen. So it all really goes back to what you can do and what your motivation is. All right, here's an interesting story right here. Mom and pop landlords still dominate the single family rental market. Okay? What are mom and pop landlords? They're talking about the people who own 1 to 5 units, rental units. Okay? That's people like me. That's people like you who have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rental units. We heard about all these institutional investors, and they bought up all this real estate and all this, and there is some of that, but it's not nearly as prominent as what you think. So basically, almost 90% of all the rental homes, single-family rentals, okay, houses, are owned by landlords who have somewhere between 1 and 5 properties. So don't let that fool you about these big institutions that have been buying up stuff. There have been some of that, but it's really the people like you and I. So if you have not invested in rental real estate, but you'd like to, we can help you out with that. So holler at us, and we will certainly do that. Here's a chart here. So if you look right down here, 89.6 of all the rental units are owned by people who own 1 to 5 properties. And if you go over here, 3.5% more are owned by people who own 6 to 10 properties. So a little over 92% of all rental units are owned by somebody who has 10 or less rental units. Start getting in these big things where they have 100 to 1,000 properties or 1,000 and above. That only makes up less than 3% of all landlords. Now, don't get me wrong; one person owning 1,000 units certainly has an impact on the market, but so much of the rental real estate and so much of the wealth in real estate is being made by mom and pop investors. So, single family homes. There's about 86.5 million single family homes in the United States. About 15 million of those, just under 16 million, are rentals. So very, very interesting. And also in the same article, there was a lot of good stuff here. So interest rates. 7 out of 10 outstanding mortgages still carry an interest rate below 5%. Okay, 7 out of 10, so 70%. If you look at this chart, below 3%, 20% of all the mortgages are below 3%. 32% of them are between 3 and 4%. 18% right here, between 4 and 5%. So there is about 20% who have above 6%. Those are mostly the people that bought in the past couple of years. And then about 10% are between 5 and 6%. And I'd say most of those people are the people that bought in 2022 on into early 2023. So very interesting information there. A couple of other things I'd like to share with you. Zillow has come out with their hot markets, their heat index, basically about where it's a buyer's market, where it's a seller's market. So if you're in red, okay, the deeper the red, that means more sellers have power in the market. And the deeper the blue, more buyers have power. So if you look up over here around New York, that is a seller's market. Out here in San Francisco, seller's market. Up in Chicago, it's a seller's market, not as strong as some of the other areas, but it's still strong. Up here in Rochester, New York, that's off the charts. That's a 153. You don't want to be a buyer trying to buy up there. Buffalo's same way. Just amazing with those. But what I want to focus in on is 2 things here, actually 3 things. First of all, the market that caters most, or where the buyers have the most buying power, what market do you think it is? I'll give you a hint. I've talked about it before. And it's in Tennessee. I'll play some Jeopardy music here, right? So you can try to figure that out. It's right over here in Jackson, Tennessee. Look at that. August of this year, Jackson is at an 8. I mean, it's almost like sellers are giving homes away in Jackson. So, we talked a little bit earlier about mom and pop investors. If you're looking to invest and maybe can't find the right house here in Rutherford County or Middle Tennessee, maybe we need to go over to Jackson. We might be able to find you the right investment property over there. Another place, it's over here in Coatesville. Coatesville's at a 14. So another great opportunity for people buying houses over there. Hey, you got a student going to Tennessee Tech over there? Why not buy a house instead of putting them up in dorms? We have found a lot of times that with real estate like that, your student can live free or next to free if they rent out the other couple of rooms. So a lot of good stuff we could talk about there. Also, over here in Bowling Green, just across the state line, Bowling Green's at 33. And another area that there's a lot of opportunity. A lot of us like to vacation down at the Gulf. Vacation down the Gulf of Mexico. Or I guess Gulf of America now, right? Boy, excuse my singing. That was bad, wasn't it? They're at 31. I mean, those condos, they are struggling, and I still see those prices coming down for a couple more years. So if you've been wanting to get a condo down on the Gulf, I would probably wait a couple years if it was me. But let me tell you something. We've got connections down there. If you want to buy down there, please let us know. We can help you down there and hook you up with a great agent down there. Now, Nashville. The Nashville MSA, that includes Rutherford County. We're a 45. We're pretty close to a balanced market. Buyers actually have a little bit more power in this market. Even though it's a seller's market, buyers actually have a little bit more power in this market than the sellers do. But on average, neither party is in a position to beat the other party up, okay? It's just a great time to go out and get a fair deal on a house. But really thought that was very interesting. One other thing on a national level, but it affects us locally here too, that we're keeping our eye on, is Lennar. So America's second largest home builder, Lennar, says it's time to pause and let the market catch up a little bit. What that means is they are going to back off building homes. All right, they're not the only builder that's doing that. There's a lot of this happening. The sales are not there, so they're backing off. The challenge with that is once the market takes off, and I don't know when that's going to be, okay? I cannot predict the market. I don't know whether it's going to be next month, next year, 2 years from now, but markets run in cycles. This market will pick up again, and whenever it does, builders are going to be behind on building. It takes them about 6 months from pulling the permits to actually getting the house completed, and that's if you have a good process. A lot of your local builders may even take 9 months or a year, depending on how custom it is. It could even take longer than a year. So once the market takes off, I feel like we're going to be faced with a lot less inventory. And I don't know what that's going to do because we have the affordability issue right now. And I think when the market takes off, it will, because interest rates will be a little bit lower and we have a lot of pent-up demand. So it's going to be real interesting to see how it plays out. I follow this all the time. I enjoy looking at this. I've got some concerns about when we do see the interest rates drop. They hit real close to 6. There are some interest rates that are actually in the 5s right now. We do see that spurring pending home sales and activity. Mortgage applications are up across the nation. They have been for the past couple of weeks. So it's going to be interesting. It really is. But I enjoy looking at this stuff in this market. If you're a seller, you need some patience. Things are selling, just maybe not on your timeline. We talk all the time about you need to look at your competition. What is your competition doing? How do we beat that competition? You've got to keep looking at that, because buyers do have choices. And that's the positive for buyers. Buyers, you do have choices. The affordability may not be there. It's getting better, okay? There's certainly studies that show the affordability. Homes are getting more affordable. Not like they were pre-pandemic, but they are getting more affordable. So you've got choices, and affordability is getting a little bit better. So that's what we got for you this week. I enjoy bringing this to you. It's always fun. I hope you get something out of it. I know our views on the socials have really started picking up. We appreciate you sharing this. We appreciate you liking it. We appreciate you subscribing to it. If there's specific information you would like to know each week, please put it in the comments. We're more than happy to tweak this to get it where it helps you. I know we have a lot of real estate agents across our county and the mid-state that look at this. It's just easier to let me pull all the information, and I'm good with that, y'all. I enjoy doing it. We got a lot of our clients that look at it. Maybe you're not a client yet, but you're thinking about selling in the mid-state area. We'd love to sit down and talk to you about that. If you're looking to buy, we'd love to sit down and talk to you about that, let you talk to you about our processes and how we can get you where you want to go. So again, I am John Turner. I am the co-lead along with my wife, Tracy Turner, of the Turner Victory team at Onward Real Estate. Our office is located in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, but we certainly service all of the Middle Tennessee area, and we'd love to help you. Until next week, I hope you go out and make it a great week. Thank you.